Hello friends, Ben Ochart here. Thank you so much for tuning in. And today is the first installment in what I hope will become a series. And it's called simply The Best and the Worst of Fish Keeping. And it's based on comments that you've provided to me about things that you've gone through in keeping fish. So without further ado, let's get into a couple of the comments. I would have liked to have shared them all with you, but I had to pick just a couple so the video isn't too long. But let's go ahead and get into two comments that were made. And then of course, if you think of your best and worst experience in keeping fish, go ahead and share them below, and maybe your comment will be in the next installment of this video series. So let's go ahead and jump into it. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, the bell, and the thumbs up, and all that good stuff. And let's keep the channel growing. We recently broke 45,000 subscribers. That was awesome. Let's keep that trend going, and let's get up over 50. What do you think? I think that would be awesome. So the first comment comes from Miguel E. Espinosa. Miguel E. Espinosa. And his comment is, worse was coming home to my 75-gallon tank full of dead fish because my child had turned on my heater to max and the water temp reached mid-90s. Ouch. And you know, sometimes kids think they're helping you out. Sometimes they're trying to make things a little better for us, and they make these colossal mistakes, and it really is a test of our patience as parents. Of course, I have 4 kids, and you name it, I've probably been through it. But I'll tell you, Miguel, that's probably a case for a controller. Now, aquarium heater controllers are, I think, have gained more and more popularity over the last few years, but that would have been offset. And what a controller would have done would have been shut all the power off to your heaters once your tank hit a certain temperature. Now, you know, hindsight, right? We can look back on this stuff. It's always 20/20, right? Woulda, shoulda, coulda. But for those of you watching this, we can all learn from Miguel's experience, and pick up, you can pick up an Inkbird, you can pick up a True Temp like I have on the tanks behind me here. They're relatively inexpensive, especially when compared to losing all your fish. And it doesn't have to be because your kid comes along and turns your heater up. It can be a malfunction. Heaters are notorious for having their elements melt or fuse, and they just simply keep heating and heating and heating and heating, and you end up with a tank in the 90s or a heater blowing up because it just gets way too hot, and in either case you lose a lot of fish. So consider a controller. That would be my takeaway from that. I thank you for sharing that with us, Miguel. On the bright side, Miguel says that my best is my current and largest tank, 120 gallon, full of African cichlids and stable for over 5 years. Plants growing out the top of the tank, anchored to a big piece of driftwood, 2 FX6 and a Fluval 407 handling the filtration. Texas Holy Rock covers the tank. Fish love it, and the yellow labs are constantly breeding. If they're breeding, that's a good sign. That means they must be loving that tank. And I'll tell you, there's nothing like an established seasoned tank that is just full of beneficial bacteria and all the good stuff that keep the fish healthy and thriving, and a mix of fish, decor, and filtration that works. There's nothing like that, because you can just really relax, enjoy the tank, and not have that anxiety that something is gonna go wrong. The next one is from Fish Ranch, and Miguel, I thank you for your comments, and Fish Ranch, I thank you for yours as well. But Fish Ranch, I flooded my living room. I was filling my 255 gallon and I sat down to do computer work, totally forgot until my feet were wet. Man, oh man, I feel your pain, my friend. That's horrible. Tank flowed into sump overflowed, super quiet, and flooded the living room and dining room. I used every blanket and towel in the house and ran every fan I could borrow from the neighbors for 3 days. The laminate floors survived. Wow. Of course, for folks that have sumps, that is the worst nightmare, the idea of a flood. I certainly have, when I was first getting familiar with sumps, I did my share of flooding, overflowing the sump, not really understanding how the water volumes and how back draining occurs and things of this nature. Until I got really my wits around the sump, I had my share of wet floors. The only thing I would suggest from that experience, for those of you watching, and Fish Ranch, you probably already have done this, there's a very inexpensive product you can pick up, and it's called a watchdog. And some of these products I mentioned, by the way, are available at my Amazon store. But a watchdog is about somewhere between 10 and 15 bucks, and it essentially lays a couple sensors, a couple electrodes on the ground, and if there's ever any kind of condensation that can close the circuit, it does a piercing alarm and lets you know that there's water where there shouldn't be water. I have one in the tub that my FX6 sits in the aquarium behind me, and probably not a bad idea to put another one in at the just outside the sump, and I'll probably do that next to the sump for the 300, just in case. So again, hindsight, it's always 2020. We can look back and go woulda, shoulda, coulda. We can't really dwell too much on these things and regret them too much. And my hat's off to both of you for getting right back on the horse and continuing with your fish keeping, which you've obviously done. And like we all have to do at some point. We encounter some catastrophe, and then we regroup and either leave the hobby or get back at it. So at any rate, those are a couple experiences that you folks were kind enough to share with me, and share below your best and your worst experience fish keeping, and we'll see if there's a takeaway that everyone can gain from on this channel, right? We all learn from each other, and we'll talk about this and a whole lot more on Saturday at the Cichlids and Coffee live stream. Be sure to tune in at 11 a.m. Central. That's 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. And if you'd like to support the channel, consider becoming a member of the Garage Gang and becoming a Patreon. Those memberships really help a lot. Thank you, my friends. That's it for me, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.